Hey everybody, this is Brittany here from Surfing Waves of Light, and today we have a very special conversation and channeling that is going to take place. I have been asked by my guides to speak about a few different concepts before channeling, setting the groundwork for what they want to say, some understandings that I've developed over the years as I've been in communication with my guidance for years now in a very conscious way. And so through my experiences, they have helped me to develop some understandings, which they want me to relate to you. So as you all know, and a great place to start videos, because it's also the place now that I've been starting my day, is with the Course in Miracles. I have been attempting to do the lessons in this book for about 5 years now, and this year I have been able to do one lesson every day. I'm on day 98 and I'm very excited about it. So today's lesson, so I'm not claiming to be any sort of expert on the course at all, but I do feel like I'm getting really good information based on where my consciousness is at, and that I can share that with all of you. So today's lesson is, I will accept my part in God's plan for salvation. So based on that, my guides had me draw out the table of contents, sort of the agenda for this discussion and channeling. So we're going to start with, I will accept my part in God's plan for salvation, and talk about the happy dream and how those connect. Then our special conversation is going to be on ETs, angels, and energies, about how ETs can both be physical but also metaphorical for foreign concepts, freedom and love, and them being activated within us, because we've been living in a slave society. And so these concepts of being free, choosing what we want to do each day, unconditional love in its purest form, these concepts are going to be foreign to us, and as we activate them, we will be activating aspects of our extraterrestrial, which basically just means foreign, unfelt, unseen. So extraterrestrial, there's a lot of fear that comes with that word, and today we are going to talk that down. We're going to totally get rid of that fear. And then in the healing side, part of the reason I'm talking more today as myself is because I've been getting the message that part of my role, the part I'm going to play in God's plan, or the universe's plan for salvation, which basically means coming back to unconditional love, knowing ourselves as unconditional love, is my voice, is speaking. And so I usually get sore throats or these lip sores when I'm in the sun too much. And so we're going to talk about my lip, speaking, and healing, and what those all have to do with it, and how I look at different illnesses I get from a mental, spiritual, emotional, and physical perspective. So once something appears in the physical, we need to address it in all realms. So that's our roadmap for today. It's pretty exciting. So basically, just to start, if you do believe in a completely loving universe, for me, that would mean that if there was some creator, God, whatever you want to call it, universe, what would be their purpose in having us suffer? If you have a child or a pet or something, I don't have a pet or a child, but I see many moms, and they always explain to me how they would rather they be sick than their child be sick, and they would never want to inflict any kind of pain on their children. In most moments, maybe there are some moments where they don't have a lot of patience or energy, but remember, if we're comparing parenthood to this creator being that many of us believe in, God, universe, say never needs naps or anything like that, because those are all parts of the human form, would there really be any purpose for suffering? And so that is how I want to segue into the happy dream. So in this lesson, I will accept my part in God's plan for salvation. One of the things it says is how happy to be certain. And when you are at peace, it is really easy to feel happiness, to feel certain that there's nothing to be anxious about. All these fears and anxieties, they have been imprinted upon us. It's not really what we are. And when we know our plan, we feel happy. So part of that is taking steps in your life, or at least for me in my life, where I was more in alignment with who I really was. I started off as a nurse, which was wonderful. But as far as me doing that forever, I knew it wasn't sustainable. It wasn't aligned with my soul energy. It was really depleting for me and not feeling like I got a lot back, even though I received money. And so I started to make choices toward a happier dream. Now I co-run a surfboard factory with my boyfriend, and I have my own business in healing and wellness and channeling. And these are all things that I've been slowly developing over the years, and they have its challenges, and I still receive a lot of upsets, but my day-to-day life is a lot happier. And so I feel what my guidance says is some of the first steps in working on your mind is creating a life where you are more free. Whatever that means to you. We all have different callings. My calling is to be free and have a lot of time, because I feel my purpose is going to require a lot of time and energy that is going to revolve into me developing myself, which in a loving world, I believe we would all have the time to do. And my guides say all the time that if everyone just went inside and understood the concept of unconditional love, one, that they will say you should study what that means because you don't know what it means. Even I don't fully know what that means, but we need to learn the concepts so that we can work on feeling it ourselves, because unconditional love, it really is just a feeling and experience, but we have so many ideas about what it is, it can cloud that experience if we don't really explore what that could possibly mean. So anyway, when we accept our part in the universe's plan for salvation, we start to live the happy dream. Because if we follow what we love, we're fulfilling our purpose. And our purpose here is to be love. So whether that means you make surfboards like Greg, or you speak and tell stories and channel, which is, I'm realizing my purpose. I should have always known it's what I'm best at, but there's layers. And so you sort of start to slowly peel back the onion, uncover the layers to what your part is, to what your happy dream is. And that's how you can know that you're doing it. It doesn't mean changing things overnight. It doesn't mean even changing things at all. It is about coming to peace. But I think, too, we have to recognize that there's a lot of ideas in our mind that we don't even think are possible to flex. Rules, ways of being, and we do need to begin to break out of those. I mean, if you want. Only if you're inspired. You don't have to do anything. Don't make it sound like that, ever. So, all right, cool. So that's just a little connection. So the connection between the happy dream and our plan. Our plan, God's plan, the universe's plan, which is our plan, because we are our higher selves. Our plan was to come in here, work through some shit, but have a lot of fun. That was my plan. And I think there are timelines where that can be everyone's plan, and how we can take every situation, find the empowering meaning, perceive the world how we want it to be instead of letting it tell us what it is. All right, so when we're in alignment with the universe, we feel good and happy and joy because the energy comes back. That's part of how you know. It's still gonna be hard. You're still going to have moments of doubt and all those things, but you're going to feel the energy coming back, and you'll be less tired. You'll need less caffeine. There's a lot of things that comes with that. So, not telling anyone to change anything, but we can accept our part in the universe's plan first, coming back to unconditional love. All right, so that was a good place to start, because if we are living in a happy dream, then as I introduced the idea of extraterrestrials, maybe you won't all click off this video. I know a lot of you who watch my channels are probably fine with extraterrestrials. As you know, I channel the Arcturian Council and other extraterrestrial energies. And what I found with understanding ETs is that many people, the first idea that comes to their mind when you say that word is scary beings with big eyes, physical, destructive, taking people. There's a lot of fear around the ETs. And in this world of duality, we can experience whatever we want. Some more conscious, some less conscious, depending on what you planned and what is in the highest good of all things. So When I first started learning about extraterrestrials, I didn't believe in them at all. I thought it was silly. I was an ER nurse. I was raised in science, and I love science. It's a great reference point for many things to help us understand and guide us to different places. The first time I started to understand what ETs were, I also began to understand what channeling was, because ETs aren't just physical beings, or at all necessarily. Many of them are energies. They're non-physical, they're dimensional, right? So depending on what you believe about the reality of this universe, the understanding I currently have is that we're in different dimensions, and at all times these dimensions coexist, simultaneous, multiple dimensions, multiple aspects. So you may think of an extraterrestrial as way out in space or way out there, far away, but what they really are energies that are within and around us. And these energies are in the process of being activated. So sometimes extraterrestrial word is used, but you could also think about angels. And if you think about what angels are, you would use a very similar definition, right? Maybe you've seen some angels be physical, come to people physically, and other people feel them or sense them or know that they're there. This is the same as ETs. It's just ETs, it's just a different way of describing energies, because there's infinite amounts of energies. So in this little chart we had, one metaphorical definition that was coming through very clear was that ETs, you know, it's on the news now that there's extraterrestrial craft, and that there's ships and maybe even potentially a physical being. But when you focus so much on that stuff, you really miss the opportunity that comes with knowing about extraterrestrials, which is that they have infinite technology access, depending on who you call. And when you invite in energies, you don't have to use the word ET, energies of the highest love and light for the good of yourself and all beings, for the purpose of assisting beings in living out their highest path and purpose in this lifetime, from my experience, the kinds of energies that come in are super loving. They're the kinds of energies that you want to spend your time in. They're the kinds of energies that make it become less tolerable to be around people who are functioning hard in the 3D with a lot of extreme emotions, all of which we have, but some of us are choosing to find more peace and come more deeper into that. So us, even within ourselves, activating unconditional love, beginning to learn what that is from books like Tina Louise Spalding's Making Love to God, highly recommend that, or The Course in Miracles, which takes a little more time to understand, so there's other books that can help you understand that. But beginning to set your north for peace and love, you can interact with any energy from that place. We only know stories about shark attacks and bear attacks and scary things that happen, right? What do we hear mostly? We call someone, we say, oh, so-and-so died, or this horrible thing happened. We place a huge emphasis in our culture on negativity, on processing things from the negative emotion. This doesn't really serve us. It's okay to have an awareness of your physicality and to take caution in obvious, scary things that are within your vortex. So for example, if the ocean is in the midst of a hurricane, this is something that's in my vortex, and it is very big waves, and it looks dangerous, and my gut says, do not go out there, then yes, we listen to that as a physical and energetic being. But when we just focus on fear, all the fears in the world, we overload our consciousness, we sit in our living rooms and traumatize ourselves. And then when we go out into the world, you see a nice, beautiful, calm ocean, and you're thinking about sharks, or you walk into a beautiful nature and you're thinking about bear attacks or tiger attacks or whatever attacks, ants, ticks. I mean, the fears, they run the spectrum of from tiny to huge, literally in size. And imagination. They're all the same, but so we just are so full of fear that as we start to try to figure out what it means to be a 3, 4, 5th dimensional being who lives in alignment with love, the energies that we're going to be activating within ourselves and inviting in, they are going to feel extraterrestrial, alien, foreign, because we have been raised in such an unloving society. So it's going to feel weird. I did a video on spiritual puberty. You don't know what that looks like. We are in the midst of exploring what that really looks like. But as we start to activate that, even within ourselves, we may appear or seem more extraterrestrial. And so this gains me to my next point, because I have some friends who are also very spiritual, and we talk about all these things. It's so fun to get together. We're all very much on the same page about energies and the matrix and what our understanding is of this reality and how we are going to use that information to consciously serve us. And one of my friends works in a deli, and her and her coworkers have been noticing that people are having some different vibes. And with not even my friend who I'm close with, her coworkers have been saying that person seems like an alien. And so what I was getting from that was of course, we're activating this different DNA within us that may seem extraterrestrial, because of course we don't know what unconditional love is. We don't know what the true meaning of forgiveness is. And we definitely don't know how to act that out in our lives. But two, kind of lost my train of thought, but these energies are going to be showing up more because we're more open to them, because the news has finally said there's ETs. And so actually, them just saying that has literally slid open this wide door. It's even the reason why I feel less worried to talk about this, because it's just been one of those things that it's not real. And if you didn't dig deep into it, the news doesn't say it's real. And I get that. The news, it creates one reality. And a lot of people, you can be around a lot of people tapped into that, and it can feel heavy when you're just existing within that framework, but also kind of knowing that maybe there is something different. Not sure what it is. So we're going to be feeling more extraterrestrial energies. These ETs, what is an ET really? An animal is a different species than us. Marine life are a completely different kind of being. ET doesn't need to be this far off energy or like crazy purple, yellow, orange beings. Everything that isn't human, that isn't thinking, perceiving, and sensing the way that we are, it's technically alien to us. Extraterrestrials, even the physical ones, they don't have much use for speaking all the time, because words do not communicate thoughts. They do not communicate feelings and energies appropriately. They are trying to describe them, but each word within each person's internal library has a different meaning and context and image. So when extraterrestrial or we'll just say 3D human, because there are humans who are like ET. I mean, even we all have it in us, as I said, which is how activated is it. This is, kind of lost my train of thought. This ET energy, they're around already, basically, is all I'm trying to say. It's just, how do they perceive? How do they do? How do they communicate? And words may not be the best way to communicate. And as humans, we may have to make peace with that. So when you think about the word extraterrestrial, of course there can be negative ETs. If you want to invite those in, that's fine. But as long as you keep setting your intention, keep setting your course for love, and you invite your guides and teachers in, and you ask them to only allow in what is necessary. We may have some work to do. You may have a scary ET experience planned, because it will reveal to you that you were misjudging something. I did another video about fears and experiences, and a lot of times we really can only fear the things we haven't experienced. because the idea in our mind is 1,000 times worse than what actually is. And if you do research on extraterrestrials, because there have been encounters for a long time on Earth, most of the stories are very positive. People talking about how they felt surrounded with unconditional love, and they received messages through feelings, through telepathy, and they were lifted up, and they were taken care of. And there's all these beautiful, beautiful stories. I encourage you, when it comes to ETs and death, seek out the stories that are positive, because the negative meanings to anything, that's an illusion. That's the fear that we came in here to experience, because you can't experience that from pure unconditional love consciousness. And so of course we're drawn to it, because that's part of the reason we came here. But also, we've been in it a long time, and I think most of us are ready to feel more peace, are ready to reintegrate fully what we truly are, which is unconditional love. And that's the process that we're in now. And all of these things are just serving us, and just the fact that we're open to ETs is just showing that we're ready to let in different energies. We're ready to let go of the authority figures who have been leading us in a fearful manner, and ready to embrace getting information, guidance, and looking toward more loving energies, human beings, extraterrestrial beings, whatever it is, to help guide, knowing that they have access, we can have access to infinite intelligence as it plays out on this earth. And we can relieve ourselves from the distortions that have been making us think that running around like crazy people and working all the time and not having enough time to raise our kids and fighting over political issues that have minimal relevance to the day-to-day life of each and every one of us, how those have not really been serving us, and how we all, every single person, can come together and live a life of joy and peace. Maybe there's someone out there who lives a life that you're jealous of, that you wish you had, you feel like you're not getting there. Stop being jealous of that person and figure out what they did. That is a loving interpretation. Jealousy is saying that you can't do it, you're not worthy, you're not good enough. And the truth is if you put yourself out there, you are good enough. Just being willing to put yourself out there, just like I am right now, talking about this topic in a very frank, authentic sense, that makes you good enough. So we're combining here spiritual, loving concepts with earthly energies, and that's what the Arcturians are really about. For me, the Arcturian Council, they're about spiritual information and how to practically apply it. Because you can, we can live in the ethers all day. I love it up there, or there, here, wherever it is. I love being in the energy. But then we wake up in these bodies every day, and we need to create a happy dream. Because that's the plan for exiting this crazy universe, the happy dream. But also because why wouldn't we want to live that way? Why wouldn't we want to have fun? This isn't that real. So are we going to get up and do something we hate every single day? And just so you know, your tolerance for anything you hate is just going to continue to go up as the energies increase. I've noticed it already. There are just things I can't tolerate anymore. It's not because I hate them. I love them. It's just that it's not right for me at this time. And that's another thing we're going to have to talk about in another video. So if you guys have any questions, or if I lost my train of thought, please ask them in the comments, because I love answering these questions. Some of these topics came from questions people were texting me and asking me. And I love a good question. It can sometimes activate within me something that I never really fully processed yet. And I think that's part of what this channel is. It's you guys watching me process this spiritual information and applying it and figuring out what is going on here on this planet, because it sure isn't what we've been told. And without bringing any crazy religious or spiritual, any one thought to it, we're just going to be open-minded here and explore what we need to do. So please ask your questions. Subscribe, like, share. I almost have 300 people watching or subscribed to this channel. So that's pretty cool. I think this video is going to do it. All right, last thing I'll say about this before I channel is just my lip Whenever I get really stressed, aka in the summer, because I'm working a lot, the sun is on me, and inevitably I'll overload myself. I've done way better this year, but I'll get a little overloaded. I have a lot going on, forgot to wear sunblock, whatever. And so I get sick, and this is how I get it. I get a nice cold sore. It's can be painful. I have physical ways to treat it, which I do, and this time I was so busy I didn't even really take the time to do that. It just shows you how undedicated to healing I was in that moment. That's where I was. It's all good. But basically, when I have any kind of illness, I always look at it from a spiritual, mental, physical, and emotional way. So I already told you what I know about these. One, it's that I'm doing too much. I'm run down. I'm tired. So emotionally, I don't have anything left to give. Mentally, I'm not thinking that I should be able to honor myself based on all these commitments I think I need to make. And spiritually, I'm not in alignment. That's what sickness always is. And I think part of why then it's like, well, why on the lip, right? There's physical, obvious reasons to that. It gets the most exposed to the sun. I've been getting them my whole life. But what I really feel like this is telling me this time is that it's time for me to use my voice more, maybe spending less time outside and making sure that I'm sitting down at the computer every day, recording these videos and getting the information out there that I'm receiving, because I am receiving a lot of information, but when I'm busy, I don't get to relay that, and you know, whether you guys want it or not, even if it's just for me, I need to be putting this stuff down so that I can reference it too. So it's important for me. So using my voice appropriately and doing my job. I love telling stories, and my job, I think, as I've said, is to tell stories about these spiritual teachings and then how I'm integrating, and stories teach a lot. They do everything. So, all right, so that's a little bit about my lip. We'll go more into that later. I have book suggestions for anyone who is on a chronic illness healing journey. Medical medium, radical remission. I'm going to do a video about that. So before I channel, I'm just going to pull a starseed oracle card, and then we'll let the guides come through to cover anything that I missed. See what they have to say. This one. Okay, here we go. This is our card today. Star Family. You're part of a team of souls. Call in support. Well, that is appropriate for this video. All right. Star Family. At some stage, we were each a part of a soul cluster, a gathering of souls who broke away from one another. A gathering of souls who broke away from one another to experience themselves individually. Those who are part of your soul cluster are part of your star family. Your star family are those souls who are cut from a similar cosmic cloth. You haven't just experienced lifetimes together. Your souls were once actually one. It's very common for star family members to incarnate at similar times, to work with anchoring a similar frequency of light, and to cross paths with each other. You know that someone is part of your star family when you feel like you know and remember them from the moment you meet. They feel instantaneously familiar and comfortable. Time both passes quickly and stretches when you're with them. You feel more yourself with them than with anyone else. It can sometimes feel like looking in the mirror, because in a way you are. Often you'll go out of your way to help those in your star family, instinctively, knowing it's part of your path. When a star family member dies, you feel it very deeply, regardless of how long you knew them. A certain soul mourning or soul breaking occurs. Think about the people in your life. Who do you feel is part of your star family? If this card comes up in a spread, it's likely that you've met someone who is part of your star family, or you're about to. Starseed Soul Inquiry. Who do you think is from the same star family as you? How can you call upon them for support? Awesome. So, Star Family, I'm going to bring the Arcturians through, and if you're still with me, thanks for being here. All right, let's see what they have to say. Greetings, dear beings. We are the Arcturian Council, and we are ever so pleased to be with you all today and in this moment. We are, as this being said, very much an aspect of her soul, of her integral makeup of the energetic components which translate to physicality, and we are inevitably speaking through her most of the time. You see, we can come through beings however we please, and when they are in states of peace and love and openness, we are able to get our thought structures in and our ideas on the table. And because this being likes to feel love, likes to feel peace, likes to feel joy, she is more acclimated to grasping on to our interpretation of a situation as opposed to the fearful ones that she has been brought up in and trained to receive. And in this way, because her mind is at a less fearful place in this manner, we are able to work through her, work in her life, and create much magic, because much magic comes from situations where you overcome or release your fear. And when you see it clearly for the first time, you realize that it was never fearful in the first place, that you all are in fact part of a star family. You all are in fact loved and protected and held in the arms of the ever-kind, ever-loving universe. And there is no need for suffering from our perspective. We do not create worlds and create beings that will suffer in them. When you see the world as all connected, as all one, you begin to understand that suffering is not something that any being would ever want to inflict upon another, because in the deeper knowing of the self, they are inflicting that pain upon themselves. And in this way, it does not serve. And so when you are thinking of the universe, God, Jesus, Ananda, any of the beings of love and light that you connect to, or extraterrestrial energies, cough, cough, part of your soul star family, you need not fear. You need not believe that there is an unloving God waiting to smite you because it is a part of his entertainment or his twisted rules of life. No, this is not the case. And the sooner that we are able to help you all understand that you are meant to live lives of joy and love and happiness, the sooner that you all will be able to release this idea of God, of an unloving God. We come through beings because we need to make it clear that suffering comes at the hand of the conditioned beliefs that you have been entrained into, and that we are in the process of dehypnotizing you from what you thought was real. During your pandemic, many of you were told, very heavily armed by the system, certain ways of handling this crisis. And they were persistent. They were clear, concise, and across the board creating the same message. And you were able to see over time, in a short time, that was the beauty of this instance on your planet, that this was not true. There were many aspects that were not true. And so from this learning, you may be able to look at other seemingly very structured aspects of your society, the bars, the chains, the heaviness, the ones that are within your mind that make you go to work every day, the monies that you pay out to people that you think you have to, all of these different things you think you have to do. You can begin to look upon these seemingly ironclad structures and question and wonder, especially ones that may impede upon your peace, may impede upon your freedom or your lifestyle. If you do come from a loving God, why would this being have you suffer or have to owe your time or energy or money to anything else? From an unconditionally loving perspective, there is infinite abundance. There is infinite resources and infinite abilities to heal. And so from this perspective, no one being or man needs the energy or time or money of another, because they can use their energetic portal of a self to raise their vibration high enough to the point where they are a match to that abundance. And that is a blocker here for all of you as you give your time and energy to others in its different forms that it takes on your planet. You keep yourself in a lower frequency because each being is meant to create for themselves, create what they love. And sometimes in community with others and sometimes within the self. But each self is meant to have time to develop and be fine-tuned and know who it is and what its highest expression is on this planet. So many of you do not know what your highest expression is on this planet, and it is a journey to figure it out. That is why we say life is your healing adventure, because you went into an adventure where you knew you were not going to have this time to fine-tune. And so the adventure now is, even as an adult or an older person or one who's not at the typical age or level where you would figure these things out as would be in a more unconditionally loving society, now you have the opportunity to try this different way where you're a bit older, you're in your 30s or 50s or 70s, and now you are starting to discover what it was that really lights your soul up, and then allowing all the benefits of that energy, the health benefits, the day-to-day benefits, the loving benefits that you receive, countless, much more special and higher feeling than money, allowing them to come to you and through you, and inevitably infecting those around you. Because once beings start to catch on to love, it is more infectious than any virus that could be spread on this planet. Because viral infections are not what you truly are, but unconditional love is. And so catching on to that is just a matter of recognition within the self, a recognition that you are all going through slowly but surely, until one day all the small steps you are taking will aggrandize into this full-blown energetic force that infuses you, releasing you of all fear or doubt, shame or unworthiness that you thought you were but never actually were. So enjoy your time as an ego actor, as an ego actress, as a jealous person or a resentful person or a fearful person even, and really savor into those fears, because as you climb this ladder and climb this journey, you will not even be able to conceive a time when you thought that there was a fear that should be taken seriously, or a structure in your planet that had authority over you. And that is our message for you today. And we include this now because of our conversations about extraterrestrials and other energies. There is nothing that has power over you. You're seeing that from the structures of your government. And now they're introducing this new foreign concept of ETs. And we need you all to know that ETs have no power over you either. Do not allow the newness of this structure, as it is being relayed by your current structures, do not allow the newness to take away the experiences you've already had. Allow yourself to feel into each thing from your own place, from your own time. As we said before, invite in the loving energies, and do not allow yourself to be trapped into the fear that somehow anything has power over you. Remain calm, remain grounded, practice connecting with the loving us. And when you are connected with us, which is really just you, you will have nothing to fear, you will not be controllable, and you will be able to step into these energies fully living a beautiful life you love, where not even death is real. And when you are finished with your beautiful life on this plane, you can simply release your body in love in the most glorious, beautiful ways, ones that many of you could not even imagine, but we always encourage you to tap in to whatever beautiful timeline, energy, vision you wish. We are the Arcturian Council, and we will speak to you again at another time. All right, so video might have froze, but that's okay. Thank you for watching if you're still here. That was a lot of information about ETs. Leave your questions, comments below. Love you all so much, and have a great night.